Hey everyone, Michael Anthony here. Van Halen, Chickenfoot, Sammy in the Circle. But anyway, you're listening to the only podcast that is dedicated to breaking down the entire Van Halen catalog one track at a time. And the podcast will rock. Ow!
Hello, baby!
Welcome, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between. You have joined us for a new edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. We are the show that dives into the catalog and discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen, one track at a time. I am your co-host, Mark Kamier. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, how you feeling?
You know what? I'm a little down. I'm a little bummed. There was a major death over the weekend, and I'm not talking about the Queen, but here in the Morissette household, we lost a beloved family member. Noodles the hamster passed away on Sunday, which was also my birthday, so it was a very bittersweet birthday. The night before, he was running around in his hamster ball around the house, loving life, and passed away some point on September 11th. So R.I.P. Noodles. So I'm really needing Van Halen to lift me out of my funk here.
Oh, man. Well, I certainly hope the wheel is kind and will do that for you. So let's everyone manifest some good vibes towards Corey his way, please. So
speaking of manifesting, Mark.
Yes.
Kevin Brown on Twitter this week posted a very sad looking meme waiting to see what the wheel would bring up. So I asked him, Kevin, what would you like to manifest, since that's our word that we've co-opted for the show? And he's a very bad man who wants to manifest spanked, just because he thinks the conversation would be quite entertaining. So we had a couple other great suggestions. So This Is Love was one. But Kevin wants spanked. So he's a very, very bad man.
Well, I think he wants it specifically because he just wants to see how you react and how you just you could possibly just explode with rage as we cover that song. I don't know. That may not be your style, and you might be letting him down in that regard, but it would still be entertaining nonetheless.
I might like that song. Re-listening to it, like I got to admit, when I got it on vinyl, I played the whole album and made faces the whole time Spanked was on. But listening to it with a new perspective, who knows? Maybe I'll dig it.
Yeah, maybe so. So never give up. Never give up on your dreams. So
That's right.
It's our dream to make sure that every track that we cover on this show is a good one, because we love the band. But that has not been the we don't have a great track record of thinking every song is great. That's for sure. But you never know. That's part of the game. That's how we do the show. It's all the spin of the wheel. Anything going on remotely interesting in the world of Van Halen news?
Yeah, there's actually a ton of stuff. And it seems like whenever there's Van Halen news, David Lee Roth tends to drop something. And he did it again. He did it again this week. I know on September 1st, he dropped a new studio version of Panama. I guess sometime in May of this year, Dave and his solo band, and I got the names here, Alice Stroud on guitar, Ryan Wheeler on bass, and Francis Valentino on drums. They went into the recording studio, and in 2 hours, they cut 14 songs. Panama being the first one Dave released. I don't know if this is ever going to come out on an album. You'd think so, but he's just kind of releasing them piecemeal. And earlier this week, on the 13th, so just yesterday, as we're recording this, David Lee Roth released the second track that they cut in the studio, Ain't Talking About Love. And I thought maybe we just listen to a little bit of it here. Mark, I'll get your perspective on how Dave is sounding. Okay.
I heard the news, baby. All about your disease. You got what you want, baby. Well, I got something you need. Well, yeah, I ain't talking about love. My love is rotten to the core. Ain't talking about love. Just like I told you before.
All right, so just a little bit there. I wanted to get, as a vocalist, I wanted to get your perspective. As a layman, I thought, geez, Dave's not too bad. He's kind of in his wheelhouse. He sang a lot of that really good. He kind of went up on the All About Your Disease part. That was shaky, kind of warbly, but everything else I thought sounded pretty good. What were your thoughts, Mark?
Dave sounds tired. He sounds very, very tired. Very much a man. He's, you know what he sounds like? Listening to this, he kind of sounds like he's done this take probably 55 times. And at some point, the voice is just going to have to give out because you can only sing the same amount of bars for so long before your vocal cords finally check out. So this sounds like he's on his very last leg, trying very desperately to give a decent take on the recording. I mean, it's all things considered, it's not terrible. Like, it's not the worst thing I've heard. It's not even the worst version of this song I've heard, so that's good for Dave. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you sound very much like you're well past your prime in doing songs of this sort of style for your vocals. For your vocal style, this is a little bit out of your range at this time. At least that's how I felt.
I wanted to ask you, do you think there's a little Pro Tools trickery involved in that? Like, they said, and this could be bullshit too, that recorded 14 songs in 2 hours would make you think this is like take one or take two, or else, like you said, they did 50 takes of this one only. But do you think they went in and cleaned it up digitally afterwards?
Well, because it sounds kind of so raw, I'm inclined to believe that there's not a lot of overproduction going on. It certainly does not sound like what we're used to hearing in popular music today. But I there's probably just a tad of little production tweaks happening, just because it just happens in the studio. You want to clean it up a little bit, so there's probably a little bit of tweaking. But otherwise, if they said that they didn't do it, then I'd somewhat believe it.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't mind it at all. I listened to the whole thing. I thought it was pretty good. Panama, I thought they did very good too. So I'm kind of hoping this gets released officially at some point, because this is one I would pick up for sure.
There's probably a whole lot of legal reasons why they probably can't, but I don't know. I'd be interested to hear the rest of it.
I imagine he's going to keep dropping them probably every couple of weeks. We'll be on here and he'll have dropped a new version of an old song. So kind of looking forward to that. And the solo stuff he's been dropping with no new album out yet has been pretty good, I thought. So, we kind of speculated when Dave kind of canceled all of his Vegas dates, is that going to be it for him? And then, he kind of tweeted that picture of an airplane. We thought, oh, is he maybe teasing a potential like farewell tour? And he even said, he's only on his first retirement. Like, he's still got several farewell tours to go. So I would expect maybe if he's got an official release coming out, maybe we see Dave on the road. Band sounded pretty good. Maybe
so. He's gonna have to be careful up there though, because he's not as spry as he once was.
We all saw the video where he cut his nose there.
That's true. I was also thinking about that. Like, just beware of flying objects coming at you from the stage there, Dave. But if he does go back on tour, then you know what? My heart's with you.
There you go. Before we go any further, Mark, folks, you can follow the Deep Dive Podcasting Network on Twitter. You can go to the website, www.deepdivepodcastnetwork.com. You can check out all the great shows we have, including the Deep Purple Podcast, Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Skinnerd Reconsidered, In the Lap of the Pods. Of course, that's a Queen podcast. The Magicians Podcast, all things Uriah Heep. They're about to head out on their 50th. So hopefully Scott has some new episodes dropping soon. Hawk Binge, Maiden A to Z, Diary of the Madman. Of course, Ozzy has a new album out, so they've had a ton of material based on that. Metal Gods Podcast, Universally Speaking, which is the Red Hot Chili Peppers podcast. Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited, So Far, So Pod, So What, the Tom Petty Project, Backtracks theme music, and the granddaddy of them all, Teen Bones Prime Cut. So if you like any one of those bands, you're going to love those podcasts. They do a fantastic job.
Nice. Very nice. Very nicely said. And I echo the statement. I echo Corey's sentiment. Get out there and listen to some good rock and roll podcasts, not just ours, everybody involved in the Deep Dive Podcasting Network.
That's right. And one that's not involved with the Deep Dive Podcasting Network, the Sean Geek Fast Fret podcast, just dropped 2 episodes where they break down the album Fair Warning with our good friend Eric Senich.
Nice.
They dropped the second episode this week. They kind of did the first half of the album 2 weeks ago, and then the second half this week. It fantastic whenever Eric's on their show, and they did a great job breaking down Fair Warning. So if you're a fan of that album, which if you're listening to this fucking show, you should be a fan of Fair Warning. Absolutely. Go check out the Sean Geek Fast Fret podcast. And Mark, on Sunday, you and I recorded a little appearance on that episode.
We did. Surprise, everyone. We joined our buddies. The tables turned, and we subjected them to our show, and then they were subjected to our banter on their show. So go check it out. It's great fun.
Yeah, no spoilers, but we introduced Mark to some new music, and I think he had a good time.
I had a great time, actually. It was very fun, very informative.
There you go. So look for that to drop in the coming weeks. I think in the next couple of weeks, that episode will be dropping. But what do you say, Mark? We get to the business at hand here. We had a Twitter poll from last week's song, which I know is a real favorite of your household, as your special lady friend Christy was nice enough to come on the show, a personal favorite of hers. How do you think? I know you said you hadn't looked at the poll in a while. Well, how do you think it shook out?
I have to imagine that this one's probably like a lot of our polls in that it swings one way predominantly, but on the other side, like on the other percentage, it's unusually high, usually going in the direction of The Dream Is Over. So I'm going to imagine that I'm gonna say That's What Dreams Are Made Of for Seventh Seal was the winner, but not by a lot.
Well, what would you think as a percentage for What Dreams Are Made Of?
Oh, okay. I'm going to say we're probably in the we're in the low 70s for That's What Dreams Are Made Of, and maybe like in the high 30s for the Dream Is Over.
Okay. Well, it was 81% What Dreams Are Made Of, 18% nice. This Dream Is Over. So pretty definitive, although we did have more negative comments this week on that song than others we've had. So if you're ready, we'll go into the Twitter comments.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Our good friend of the show, Michael Green, says, I can't say I was ever a huge fan of the album, but so far really liking the songs. I love Eddie Van Halen's dirty, dark, and aggressive tone. Alex Van Halen is stellar. Sammy, of course, kicking it. Great song. Surprise guest. Surprise, this was Christy's favorite Van Halen song. It's What Dreams Are Made Of.
I mean, she just has the personal connection to it. So
that's right.
I mean, that's like any song that you love that maybe not everybody loves.
That's the best part of music too. Mm-hmm. You know, if it speaks to you, it's amazing. Don't be ashamed of it. Exactly. Next, we have our good buddies from the Deep Purple podcast. They said, really cool track and enjoyed 2 no responses to mentions of yes without a hint of acknowledgement from any of you. Bravo. Do you want to acknowledge yes now, Mark?
I acknowledge that Yes is a progressive rock band. I acknowledge
There you have it. Will says, Balance is most underrated Van Halen album. One of the most badass songs they ever did. So there you go. He loved Seven Seal. Right I guess he's invited over for Thanksgiving.
Yep. Come on over. Get some turkey.
Pear says, this is literally the first Van Halen song I ever heard. It made me an instant fan. And quite frankly, with this track as your first impression and definition of this band, the back catalog had a very hard time. Still one of my favorite songs.
Oh, well then.
Pear's invited too. Come on over. Lots of turkey.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
All right. Greg says, listening to this song now, I can really appreciate how good it is. While there are fans who seem to reject any changes, like Fair Warning is too dark, no keyboard, Sammy ruined the band, I enjoyed the experimentation and growth. Van Halen has so much to offer if you're open to it. Amen. He summed it up perfect.
Absolutely. That's exactly the correct response.
Yep. Friend of the show, Tom, says, the main riff is killer. Mike and Al are tight and Sammy is just killing it. Yeah, it's a little out there for a SoCal party band, but as Eddie would say, if it sounds good, it is good.
Simple.
Yep. Candace simply says, one of my favorite Hagar era songs. So thank you for that, Candace. The Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast, this would be Sean saying, man, not my fave. Sorry, guys. Everyone sounds amazing on here, but the song is missing something for me. Mark's just shaking his head.
There's just no pleasing some people. There's no pleasing them. So Sean, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, he won't be over for Thanksgiving, that's for sure.
No, you get no turkey.
Airhead 3 says, no surprise, but I really love this one. Balance is the best produced and best selling album in Van Halen's catalog. Not taking away from the early raw sound at all, but the richness of Balance is not matched. Love the rising chords juxtaposing Sammy's down lines. Big thumbs up from Airhead 3.
It does. It absolutely sounds pretty dope, the recording, even now.
Yeah, and I agree, like not taking away from the early raw sound at all, or even that late 70s, early 80s type of sound, but I love the production on Balance, so I agree 100% with that one. Yep. Gene says, even the throat-singing monks are bringing their A game on this one. It's too bad they wound up as the only Van Halen singers with a shorter tenure than Gary. Love this tune. Would you take a whole album, a whole Van Halen album with the throat-singing monks?
If used appropriately, sure, why not? That could provide a new dynamic for the band. Actually, they could. There are so many directions they could go. Again, you got to use those monks sparingly because you don't want to hit too much of a good thing. But wow, that is some shade. That whole tweet was just throwing all sorts of shade. Wow.
Next up, another negative comment. Get ready for it, and it's from past guest on the show, Heath McCoy. Who said, tried to like this song as it's highly regarded in the Van Hagar catalog, but I just feel it's hugely overrated. Where's the hook? Fairbairn's production feels too polished for Van Halen. Balance sounds like a band that's falling apart, and the old Eddie Sammy mojo is mostly gone. Now, when I can divorce myself from what was actually happening with Van Halen at the time and just listen to the music. When I listen to the music, I don't hear that. I don't, they still, forget that is exactly what was happening. The band was falling apart. Everybody knows that. But when you listen to the album, I don't get that. And I didn't get that from this track either. I thought everything was meshing together quite well. So, and I'm not saying he's wrong or anything. Of course, he's entitled to his opinion. But if you can kind of divorce yourself from the actual facts of what was happening to the band, maybe you appreciate it just a smidge more. And where's the hook? Tom actually had to chime in and say, where's the hook? That opening riff has lived rent free in my head all day, and not in a bad way. So
well, I would say the song is full of hooks. That's one of the things Van Halen does best is the hooks. As far as the other statement, I mean, like I when I listen to it, I personally don't hear the sort of the burnout or whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily hear it, although with the perspective that I have, knowing what we know about the recording process of this album and where the band was at the time, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of influence in the listening, but frankly, with this song, I don't hear it.
Where I did hear it was in the 3 new tracks they did on the Best of Both Worlds compilation. Up for Breakfast, Learning to See, and It's About Time. There, I thought, here's a band that obviously aren't on the same page, but I didn't necessarily get that from Balance. And about the production, I think For Unlawful was pretty slickly produced too. And I put that right up there with some of the best Van Halen. My favorite tracks are on that album. So
I agree.
All right. Brian says, another great song from Balance. Can't wait to hear you guys break it down. Well, wait no more. It's out there. Jonathan had a lot to say. So we're going to go through his tweets here. Excited to hear Balance. I was 20. I heard this song. Sad. Boring rhythm. Very un-Eddie Van Halen. Fits in with the music of that year. Shimmery guitar tone. What? And no solo? Thank God for Balance of the album. Sam, Mike, and Al sound great. I hope they resealed the 7th seal.
Interesting word usage.
And then he went back and said, okay, I listened several times over the weekend. So he's really putting the work in. You got to give Jonathan a lot of credit for
That's true. Yeah, he's consistent. He's persistent.
Yeah. I should like this song. There isn't a foul note in the Hagar catalog before the first split. I even like Inside. Holy cow. And then he says, I must have PTSD or something. If you like Inside, you might. And then I still don't like it. So Jonathan more than gave it a shot. So God bless you, Jonathan. You gave it the old college try. It just didn't work for you, and that's cool.
It's fair. That's very fair. You did more than a lot of folks would do in order to find what it is that we like about it, and it didn't work for you. It didn't connect. Totally valid. Totally fine. You're good, John.
Yep, totally. Der Urs says, wasn't a fan of Balance when it came out, considered it a half-baked attempt to surf on the grunge wave. In addition, somehow one could feel the vanishing chemistry between Eddie Van Halen and Sammy Hagar. So there's another guy who thought who could hear that in this album, along with Heath. Yet digging deeper, Eddie Van Halen has one more push guitar and composition boundaries on this record. So he's giving it a thumbs up.
Well, that's good. We'll take it.
Yep. Bruins fan 71 says 10% of the fans want DLR to sit on their laps in his assless chaps. I'm sure that's the case. I personally am fine if he didn't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't need it. We don't need that. It's fine. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, we're not here to judge.
Exactly. No.
This is a safe space. Everybody is welcome to voice their opinion. And if you want Dave Lee Roth to sit on your lap in his assless chaps, more power to you. And finally, sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Finally, we have very, very bad man Kevin Brown, who says top 5 all-time Sammy vocal performance for me, and musically one of the most interesting Sammy era songs. Van Halen always sounds fantastic when Alex is just sitting in the pocket. Mikey crushing those 16ths and Eddie being super tasteful. Just a killer arrangement. What dreams are made of. And those are the Twitter comments.
Boom. Well, thank you all for commenting. And thank you for voting in the Rock and Poll. Even though the score looked pretty great on my end, your tweets said otherwise, or some of you did. But I appreciate you and thank you for providing perspective. It's nice that we can't win them all, but we can try.
Absolutely. And try as we might, we're going to spin this wheel here again, Mark. And I'm curious now that 7th Seal is off the wheel. What are you in the mood for today?
I'm kind of like you. It's been a weird couple of days. I'm kind of feeling the lull. It might be the seasonal changes have already begun, and so it's it's kind of messing with my sinuses. It's starting to kind of mess with my brain patterns a little bit. Sometimes seasonal depression is absolutely a thing. I'm hoping we don't go that far, but you never know. But it has been kind of a stressful week, so I need to hear something uplifting by Van Halen. I need to hear something from Van Halen 1. That's what I need. I need some old school Roth era party Van Halen. That's what I need. Honestly, doesn't matter which track. Just give me something from Van Halen 1 and I'll be happy.
There you go. Something from the first album for Mark.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of going a different direction. I want something with kind of a dirty, heavy riff to it. And I haven't really tried to manifest anything from OU812 yet. So I'm thinking a little Black and Blue.
Black and Blue. That would be actually, I wouldn't be mad at that. Would not be mad at that at all. So, well, but you guys know how it works. It's not up to us. We could wish and wish all the live long day, but ultimately it is up to the fickle mistress known as the wheel. The podcast will rock wheel determines the fate of the show, determines the song, and now comes the time where we plead for its mercy. Give us something good. Give us something awesome. We need it tonight. But we'll see how the wheel feels. So whenever you're ready, Corey, I'm ready. Whenever Sammy's ready, take it away and spin the wheel.
Here we go.
All right. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
It's time for Up for Breakfast.
Up for breakfast.
Oh, Lordy. I tell you what, we spanked was 4 songs away. We almost got spanked. We almost landed on Can't Stop Loving You, which would have been our 3rd consecutive balance track. We almost landed on When It's Love.
When It's Love, or Why Can't This Be Love was on the other side, man.
They were both right there, yeah. Instead, we're going close. Back to the best of both worlds. And I talked about it, a lot of people say they could hear the band, not being on the same page on balance. You really get it on these 3 tracks that came off this compilation. So disjointed and Up for Breakfast, kind of a whipping boy amongst Van Halen fans. Mark, what were your recollections of this one?
Very, very little. I know I have heard this track at some point, but I think I just dismissed it and brushed it off like, yeah, whatever, okay. And just didn't pay attention, probably because the song didn't land with me based on, how it's composed and what have you. So I've got very little recollection of this song, if I'm being perfectly honest. But how about you, Corey?
Oh man, well, this was an interesting time in Van history. There's 16, I believe, David songs, 14 Sammy songs, and 3 live songs with Sammy from Live Right Here, Right Now, and then 3 new songs with Sammy because they're about to go out on the big reunion tour that would end up being kind of disastrous in the long run with Sammy as lead singer. The last time both Sammy and Mike Anthony would play with the band. Mike didn't play bass on these tracks, but he did provide backing vocals for them. This one is kind of sandwiched in between It's About Time, which I really liked, and Learning to See, which I really didn't like. And I think you voted the same, Mark, if I remember correctly. You were positive on It's About Time and not so much on Learning to See. This one's right in the middle, credited to Sammy, Alex, and Eddie Van Halen. And I tell you what, if you like sexy breakfast metaphors, this is the song for you.
Well, I do love a good sexy breakfast, metaphor or otherwise. So maybe good old Van Halen will put us in the mood for a lot of things. But I don't know. I'm not feeling very optimistic based on the history and the what's going on behind the scenes when this song came out. So guess we'll find out.
I tell you what, I haven't listened to this episode in a long time, but Pot of Thunder did a classic episode eviscerating this song. They were not fans of it at all. And after we're done here, I'm going to go back and re-listen to that show because I hadn't heard that show of theirs in forever. So, I'm going to go on with an open mind as I pledge to do with every single Van Halen song. Let's see how it goes. We're going all the way back to 2004 from the Best of Both Worlds. This is Up for Breakfast. Now you might be thinking, did Corey play the intro to
I was
When
just
It's
thinking,
Love?
yeah, and now it's or Why Can't This Be Love? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and now I have a recollection of listening to this song before because that's literally the reaction I had. I was like, that's not why can't this be love? What is this?
I bet you more than a few people. Yeah, when this started playing, they grabbed their CD case. I thought this was later in the track list. What the hell is it doing
a
here?
very, very, very similar intro. I'm now waiting for the keyboard to come in with a blah, blah, blah. But maybe they'll surprise us with something different.
I know originally they wanted to put all the Dave tracks on one disc and all the Hagar tracks on the other, but there was this is going to shock you. Apparently, there was problems negotiating with David Lee Roth on the entire track listing on the released album, so they abandoned those plans. Dave was being difficult. I find that hard to believe.
Oh yeah, well.
Oh Jesus!
Well, we've talked about even Sammy is not immune to very very lame lyric rhyme schemes and what have you and content. This is no exception, I must say. Little
My
subtlety
goodness.
there, Sammy.
She treat me like a personal Jesus, got the hand, put it where it's going to heal you. So she's putting her hand where it's going to heal him because she's treating him like the personal Jesus. I'm already confused. And then we got the finger, put it right there on the trigger. So she's just using one finger.
Pump it up, make it bigger.
Yeah, pump it up, make it bigger. Sammy must be a grower, not a shower, if she could just do that with one finger.
all the righteous ones usually are.
Well, I
There we go with the healing again. I don't get this song. Like even the most religious types, like is that meant to be like dirty talk for a Christian girl? Like I'm going to be your personal Jesus and got the finger going to put like everything about this is just gross.
Why is this called Up for Breakfast when it should just be calling like Pump It Up? Because that seems
oh, it's
to be
coming.
The,
no, we segue we segue from Jesus into breakfast sex metaphors.
Breakfast.
and some of the worst ones you'll ever hear. We're going to take this like 2 lines at a time here. Here we go.
Put the cream in my coffee. First thing in the morning.
Okay, first of all, she put the cream in my coffee. What the fuck is that?
Well, you know what it is.
No, I don't. I don't want her. I don't want her putting anything in my coffee.
I'm not even gonna try and defend this. I'm just gonna. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on she put the cream in my coffee? What is he trying to say?
I think what he's trying to say is, you see, no, I'm not gonna do. There's no. I don't even want to even attempt to explain it. But I get what he's trying to say, but it's not a very good execution.
All right, line 2. Okay, put that butter on my biscuit. So
I think that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, what's his bit like? Okay, put that butter on my biscuit. I'm still. Is she lotioning him up? Because then he says, honeydew my melons. What are his melons? When you think of melons, you think of the female, the relationship, not the dude.
I'm assuming that means drain his balls.
Honeydew my melons? Like, how do you honeydew a melon?
I don't know. Like honeydew.
Like,
I don't know. I'm trying really hard here. It's
I can't wait for people on Twitter to be like, you fucking idiots. Obviously he meant this. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm literally.
No, I know. I know what he's trying to say here, but it's not coming across very well and I know that's why I'm having trouble because I'm gonna have to try and explain where I think he's coming from, and it's still not gonna make any sense.
If it was the male saying, I'm gonna put butter on your biscuit, that would make more sense to me. Not the other way around. I'm trying to figure out what she's doing to him. All right, let's check out the next line.
Yeah, the next line though.
Yeah, this will really shed light on it. All right, so if your cherries are on your banana, you got issues. Like
yeah, I got nothing for you on that one.
You better get to a hospital. Something went horrifically wrong.
Gonna need a second helping. No, you're gonna
need second
help.
helping. Second helping. You need medical attention, you fool.
Yeah, you need help for sure.
All right, I got that one.
Yeah.
Lock the front, leave the back door open. Yeah.
That one makes sense.
Yeah, that one I got.
Okay.
Yeah, hot tub, loosen up, baby, been soaking. I've been talking, I've been sipping. Slip, slide, slipping, I got me tripping.
You gotta love the lyrics. Slip, slide, slipping, all got me tripping.
All got me dripping wet. Yeah, man. I mean, the man's a poet. What can I say?
Now, you got in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking, what would David Lee Roth do with breakfast metaphor, sexy lyrics? He could do it.
I think, yes. I think he would be a little bit more clever with his phrasing. But I do not believe for a moment that the subtlety would be any less. I don't think it would.
No, subtlety, absolutely not. But they would make a lot more sense. They'd be a lot better. Now, musically, I really dig what the band's doing. We're not getting a lot of bass, but
yeah,
Eddie's playing bass anyway. Mike's not even playing bass on it. But you know what Eddie and Alex are doing on the track, I think are fine. Like it's pretty good beat to it.
It's got a nice groove.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You keeping it up, pumping it up, and then it ain't gonna kill you.
It's gonna kill you.
Is he telling her like, "Come on, keep it up, pump it up. It ain't gonna kill you." He's getting kind of rude now.
Unless he's that's supposed to be the woman speaking in this.
Or
Like, ain't gonna kill you.
It could be self-talk for himself too, right? Like, come on, keep it up, keep it up.
Be.
Ain't gonna kill you. I know you're getting up there, Sammy, but geez.
Perhaps, but again, we can only speculate.
That's right.
She put the cream in my coffee, first thing in the morning. Spread that butter on my biscuit, honey to my belly. With berries on bananas, I need a second.
So now he needs another guy there to help, put some more berries on his bananas. So
maybe berries on bananas. Like,
well, maybe
I could see that. Yeah, maybe.
You want to explain that for the folks who are listening and didn't see the gesture you just made because it's a audio podcast?
Berries being the the shape of a particular part of a woman's body, and bananas a particular body part that resemble. You know what I'm getting at this. I don't need to explain this to you people. For the kids at home, stop listening.
I can already hear the complaints on people like, "Oh, you're ragging too much on the lyrics." Well, it's a deep dive show, right? So we're deep diving into all elements of the song. I mean, the lyrics are this. It's hard not to want to, try and break them down and figure out what our narrator is trying to tell us here.
Right. Yeah. We have to try.
All right. What did you think of the guitar solo there?
I kept waiting for it to actually happen, and I don't know, that to me just did not feel like an Eddie solo.
Yeah,
it kind of felt like to be honest with you, this whole song sounds like everyone has just given up. This is like, don't give a shit. Sammy obviously doesn't give a shit. That's why he wrote this. Not without a care in the world. Eddie just sounds like, I can try and make this sound a little bit cool. Like, there's some stuff he was doing right before the solo happened that's he was playing in the background. You can't really hear it because it's too far back, which is a shame because I liked what he was doing. It sounded like some dive bombs, and you guys know I'm a fan of dive bombs. This solo, however, not very gripping or engaging to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Van Halen produced or listed as a producer on this. Bill Molina listed as the engineer, and again, I'm just speculating. I don't know the whole history around this era or the recording of these songs, but everything that like Keith McCoy said about balance, I get here. Like, this is a Van very much kind of splintered. It's like, we got the tour coming up in 04. The record company wants a compilation with some new shit on it. Let's just, put this out as kind of a new stuff. Obviously, I think had they taken the time, if they're doing like an album proper, and this was a candidate, I don't think this sees the light of day. Maybe it's a Japanese only track. Maybe it's an obscure B-side or something. But I again, speculating, I can't see the band being awfully happy with this track, but they just kind of needed to get something out there before the tour.
Yeah, but it might not have killed him to try and get a little, work a little harder. Maybe
it would have been nice, or
try a little bit harder, a little bit. But what are you gonna do?
And as we're talking, I remember I think Chris L on Pot of Thunder, one of his points was, how does nobody in the Van Halen camp listen to this and say, don't do this. Like, don't put it on the album. This is not good. Delete this. Like, pull, be like Lars Ulrich's dad in Some Kind of Monster. Just delete this. This is not what you do not want to put this on a greatest hits, especially before a big tour with Sammy Hagar back in the fold. This is not the representation of the band you want out there. It's not doing much for me.
Nope. But can't win them all. So, but maybe we'll change our mind by the end of it.
Hey, we still got a minute 31. I like that attitude. Hey, maybe they'll save
Let's try.
Okay, spreading hot butter on my biscuit sounds really unpleasant.
Squeeze some honey on my biscuits.
Oh, God. Okay, that's the first sexy thing he said all song. Got bacon on the table.
Yeah, finally some bacon.
Damn right.
Jeez,
Let's have some bacon.
Where you been? Jeez, come on, man. Sammy, be better.
Squeeze some honey on my biscuit.
Oh, there you go, squeezing honey on the biscuit. See, you're
is.
one verse ahead.
So early in the morning, wake me up, baby. Wake me up, baby. Lift me up, baby. Get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Yeah. Black coffee. First thing in the morning. Woo. Super sticky.
Do you hear that weird phase thing happening in the outro there?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was just my headphones, but I'm like, what the fuck?
No, that's just them trying to do something fresh, I guess.
Like,
well, I'm confused though, because the last bit of those lyrics could very well have been maybe Sammy just really wants to be up for breakfast. I don't know. He's just like, he keeps describing things that are not even necessarily metaphorical. It's just some of that just sounds like, oh, okay, this is what you want to actually have for breakfast. Okay, you're kind of,
that's an interesting theory.
Kind of weird, but
I like that.
Maybe
it's not sex at all. He's just literally hungry. He wrote this before heading to the studio that day. Spread some cream on my bananas. He just wants some whipped cream on his bananas. Who doesn't?
It's just like he's up for breakfast so early in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, because you've been out partying all night, and it's early in the morning the next afterwards, and yeah, that's exactly what you want. You want breakfast because you're pretty much down for the count if you try anything else. But maybe, or we're wrong, or we're just we're reading too. We're trying to be a little bit too optimistic about it. I don't know.
I don't know either. I know it's time to vote. Maybe we should start with Mark on this one. You're the big Sammy guy. What is your vote on Up for Breakfast?
I suddenly realized why this track was such a dismissive sort of afterthought for me the first time I came across it, because there was nothing about it that really has a lot of substance. Now, that's not to say that what Eddie is doing, when you can actually, hear and pay attention to what he's doing, isn't pretty good, because he's riffing away pretty good. His solo is leaves something to be desired, because that's kind of sad. That's not the typical thing you get from an Eddie Van Halen solo. You certainly, even in their not necessarily their biggest hits, just some of their deepest tracks, you're pretty much guaranteed Eddie's gonna rip a really great solo, even if it goes on a little too long or if it's too quick. It's usually pretty good. This is, I think, one of the first times where we've encountered that's not very good, my dude. And we never say that about Eddie. Like even his worst solos are pretty damn good. This one, no, you probably could have done we could have just left that out. We could have cut it out. Or you could have tried something really awesome and crazy, and that might have saved the song. However, you didn't, and it didn't. And I mean, look, I, I had a feeling this moment was going to come the moment I kept defending Sammy's lyrics because I don't think all of Sammy's lyrics are bad. In fact,
No,
most people
they're
that
not. You're
shit
right.
on people that shit on most of his songs will tell you he's just a bad lyricist, and I would say not always. However, this track does me no favors when I'm trying to defend the man and his writing ability. This one's not good. I get that he's trying to be very metaphorical, but obviously he doesn't care all that much because it's not written very well. He's not singing it all that great because he doesn't care. This song just sounds like the band as a whole just did not care. And this was the result. So unfortunately, the dream is most certainly over for me. But Corey, you have to be the one. You got to be the voice of reason here. You got to be the optimistic one because that's usually how it goes. So tell me, was Up for Breakfast what dreams are made of for you? A happy, nice dream, ready for breakfast, just like Sammy, all pep in the step, or are you gonna go pessimistic and tell me the dream is over?
Fuck this song.
Shocker.
No,
Shocker.
you know what? And I want to be the first to say too. I make fun of Sammy when his lyrics are bad; they're really bad. But he writes a lot of good stuff too. And I thought last week's song, "The Seventh Seal," is a great example of that. Really great lyrics. I thought in that track. This one doesn't do it for me. I thought the choice of the keyboard riff at the beginning, reminiscent of "Why Can't This Be Love," was weird. I don't know why you play that exact same thing. Like, is this like a pseudo sequel to "Why Can't This Be Love"? It's almost kind of like The Unforgiven by Metallica, right? You kind of get that same kind of gong sound, and then the intro riff is almost the same on the three different versions of The Unforgiven. We have that same intro to "Why Can't This Be Love." So as a listener, you're thinking, does this tie into "Why Can't This Be Love"? And then it's this fucking claptrap about breakfast. And well, it starts off about religion, and then he goes into putting cherries on his fucking bananas and weird fucking track. Obviously, they didn't work on this very much at all. It was just kind of like, the boys put down a basic music track. Sammy just threw something together. This song didn't take months of honing to get to the final product. I imagine they did this in like an afternoon. Just throw it on the album, get it out there. Let's get on the road. That's where the money is anyway on the tour. That's what people want to see. You got to give them some reason to buy the music they already own, though, right? So you need new tracks. So that's why these three songs were done. Two out of the three really don't do it for me at all. So this was an easy Dream Is Over for me. And I totally go back to Chris L. Pot of Thunder. How is there no one affiliated with this band who said, Jesus, maybe rethink this? Do you really want to put this on an album that has Van Halen on it? Like, come on, let's wise up here a little bit.
I gotta agree with Chris L's sentiment on that. This is definitely one of those. I mean, and I think I've had a couple of experiences now doing the show, listening to some of the songs where I go, did no one even think to maybe say, hey, can we try something else? maybe rethink this. One that springs to mind is a Van Halen 3 track, but the less said about that the better. But yeah, no, Up for Breakfast, man. I wanted to be pleasantly surprised. I wanted this to be sort of a an unsung gem or something. I wanted this to be like the diamond in the rough, perhaps, because nobody seems to talk about Up for Breakfast, and well, with good reason, because this is not a great track at all, not a very good one either. It just kind of shows. It takes away the enjoyment when you have the context of where the band was at this point, and then you hear the product of this song that they put out, knowing what you know, and it sours you even more about it. And maybe they should have just left this one on the cutting room floor. But hey, that's not up to me. That's up to the band. And the band decided, nah, whatever, put it out. And because they did all these years later, now we're doing a podcast about it. So thank you, Van Halen,
I got no
for
love.
sacrificing. No, I love
No love.
breakfast. I don't love Up for Breakfast, not in the slightest. So
So
there
you're
it
not gonna,
is.
You're not going to cozy up to Christy tonight and say, "Why don't you put the cream in my coffee, baby?"
You know what? I could do that, and I might. But I don't know that that's going to end well for me. I don't even think I'll get a laugh out of that. I think I'll get a dead stare and go, no. Like, oh man. Well,
Don't you want to butter my biscuit? Let us know next week if you get slapped.
You know what? I'm gonna give it a shot, and I will curse Sammy Hagar's name if it does not go well. So, you guys know I love Sammy, but I just might have to do it. So to be continued on that plight. But for now, that is the show, you guys. We've done it. We've put another one down on the books. We are inching ever so closer to the final straw, man. We only have what 75 more songs to go.
76. Yep.
76. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it's crazy thinking where we were when we started and where we're at now. That's insane. And I gotta thank the listeners for keeping us alive. The support has been amazing. You guys keeping this show going, that you actually care what two schmucks who aren't musical historians and experts have to say about this band that we thoroughly enjoy. So thank you to everyone for your support. So with that being said, Corey, where can the people find the show if they want to reach out to us? Where can they locate you if they want to reach out to you personally?
Well, they can find the show www.podcastwillrock.com. We're gonna have some new merch up momentarily. We're gonna try a new merch company too. We'll still have TeePublic, but we're looking into a Canadian one too for all of our Canadian listeners who might want some merch and don't want to pay $40 in shipping for a T-shirt. Hopefully we can get something going in Canada so that the shipping is a little more reasonable for everybody. You can find us on Twitter at Podcast Will Rock. Catch the poll. Make sure to vote in the poll. Leave your tweets. We'll read them on the air. I'm also on two other shows with John Mariano. Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited. We're breaking down the Aerosmith catalog, and we added a third host. I won't spoil it here. It's going to be announced a little bit later on, but there's a third voice coming to that show. So look forward to that. And Backtracks theme music, where we're talking everything music in movies. And we just recorded an episode last night from one of my all-time favorite 80s comedies, Real Genius. So be on the lookout for that one coming soon. And if you want to just yell at me in general, at CD Morissette, I try and check my Twitter. It's getting pretty busy doing all these shows with Mariano, but I'll get back to you eventually. And Mark, where can the folks find you?
Well, if you don't want to yell at Corey and you want to yell at me, I've got all the time in the world to be yelled at Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. Come on over, say hi, scream why I was wrong about, I don't know, anything. I usually tweet about nerdy things and rock music and metal. So yeah, come at me. Let me have it. Let me hear what you have to say. And that is where you can find me. You can also be on the lookout for any upcoming shows and stuff. I'm very bad about announcing and putting on display some of the things that I get involved with. But if you're in the Nashville area, then be on the lookout for some new tribute shows that we have coming along the way. The Women to the Front show in September, and for Halloween, the final Halloween ball. We might be saying goodbye to the venue, the Exit Inn, that's been a Nashville staple for a long time. And unfortunately, it's going to have to close its doors in November. So come out to the Halloween ball where we pay tribute to music, all things spooky and Halloween-ish as we say goodbye to our beloved venue. So yeah, I'll talk about that more along the way as we get closer to it. But until that time, you guys, on behalf of Corey and myself, we've been rocking with Van Halen because that's what we do every week, every show, one track at a time. We are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later.